or what was in the draft report. We don't know. Why is it that money hasn't been paid by the supervisor, the $200? Just answer the questions. Don't dodge it. Just say, I'm not going to pay it because I don't have the money or I refuse to. Just answer the question. Answer the question why the confidentiality that was imposed on us is not being observed. Answer the question why the 200. Answer the question why you haven't met with the accountant. I'm not accusing you. I'm stating what's been stated as a fact. Respond to the questions. We're not attacking you. We think that as long as you want to hold us accountable and you want to say that we should be held accountable because we don't do RFPs, you also need to say why you should be held accountable for that. Just answer the questions. Say yes or no. That's all. And don't say you're throwing sand in the ABC. Answer the question. I want to know, why is it that the chief budget, the chief financial officer, who's the supervisor, has not made us apprised of what we found out last week, right after the primary elections, in the form that Ron Hund, our accountant, presented it. Ron Hund presented us with a letter that said, this is what's happening. And we didn't have that information. And you know something? Everyone out there, it won't happen again. Because I'm going to request the chief financial officer, whoever that may be, to present us every month with a report that's in English, that's like that. Because you know something? It's really a failure not to know until September that you have all of this deficit. And you know something? That needs an answer. That's not sand in anyone's eyes. That's not being accusatory. It's a fact that needs an answer. Very simple. It's not politics. It's your town. You need to know why. And you need to know that we are not going to permit that to happen again, because we're going to ask for monthly reports in English that say this is what's happening with the finances of the town. So that then we can say, oh boy, we're going to have to cut overtime. Maybe we can't do certain things. That's what it's about. This isn't about all this talk and this jabberwocky. We need answers, and we need simple answers, period. That's what I'm looking for. No attacks, just answers.
Well, again, to answer the points, certain of the points, to refer to the Office of the State Comptroller report, which you no doubt would like to bury, as noted previously, 8 of 11, the town board is castigated by the Office of the State Comptroller for failing to place, a quote from the report. As a result, town officials and employees did not solicit competitive proposals or quotations for 8 of 11 professional services we tested, totaling $1.8 million. So the councilwoman is welcome to mention this or that, or attack me personally.
We don't have an answer
But the bottom line is, as noted by the State Comptroller, as a result, town officials and employees did not solicit competitive proposals or quotations for 8 of 11 professional services we tested, totaling $1.8 million tax dollars. And that is absolutely outrageous.
It's outrageous. I can't get an answer.
I'd like to comment.
You voted in January 2010.
$200.
You are the answer.
Why hasn't it been paid supervisor rights? Just give me an answer. Yes, no, why? Answer it.
There we are. Go ahead,
Answer
Councilman.
it.
You made a
Answer it.
We'll never get an answer out of it, and we'll never get the $200.
You can badger me all night, Roger, but I'm going to be angry about your reckless spending in January 2010 and the 3-2 vote that you won, which placed all these millions at anti-competitive arrangement that you spent the tax dollars' money. And now there is a problem, now there is a hole, and we said there would be all along.
We did. I'd like to phrase one comment. One thing we've come out of this, I think we'll agree, we need a new chief financial officer next year. $20,000 salary he gets for this, and we don't have the budget yet. We have no real inkling of what's going on. I want to back up a moment, though. You talked about greasing your friends and all this. That is a lot of baloney. Professional services, you pick companies and planning operations that know the town and can do the good work. We have not greased anybody. Quite the contrary. When we were elected, I was getting calls from your political buddies asking to come make presentations to the town board. You wanted to pay these people back with jobs. That's what part of this is about.
I wanted RFPs.
I'm not quite done yet.
Go ahead.
And this business of the blame game, I think we must be all on Krypton. We didn't start this. We're moving along the agenda, and they're starting to blame us for the garbage contract and air conditioning and everything else. You guys started this. You pick a fight every week, and we're getting tired of it. We're not going to let you get away with it. Back to the garbage contract. Ladies and gentlemen, the appellate court, 4 judges to 0, voted in favor of what we did, picking SaniPro. In addition, the company that they supported has to close down. They're in cahoots with a sanitary landfill / recycling operation in Peekskill, and DEC closed them down 2 weeks ago. CARTA, they closed them down. This place had no really great recycling program at all. So it was a slipshod operation, and thank God we didn't have that, okay? I guess that's the last thing I want to say. Maybe we should consider moving on.
Well, last Friday I sent an email to all of you, and it said, due to the severity of the town budget and the fiscal crisis, and after review of Ron Hunn's report, which is the town accountant, and the remarks by the New York State Auditor, I suggest, effective immediately, that the board immediately review and audit the billing practice of the town attorney to immediately cease the double-dipping practice. The practice is flawed because there is no contract, and the town attorney continues to be allowed to bill additionally purely based on the town attorney's say-so. In addition, I recommend that miscellaneous charges to the town attorney cease. It is ludicrous that no other official or employee charges for miscellaneous office expenditures like making copies or long-distance phone calls. I have not yet heard an answer from any other of the town board members regarding
Because
this.
he doesn't have an office.
No,
Councilman, he has the floor.
I am simply looking at the auditor's report, the town attorney's report to us, that there is something terribly wrong with the practice here. I have asked you via an email to at least do something about it, and yet now this evening you continue to embrace the continued spending here. You continue to fight us rather than embrace that, yes, we should do something. You continue to fight us rather than embrace us to say, yes, Supervisor, yes, Councilman, yes, Board, that we need tonight to do something immediately. Instead of sitting here and saying it's all about the supervisor and his $200 and his $10 here and there, it's silly. When we talk about garbage contracts, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. When we're talking about air conditioning units, hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is when we're talking about trucks, hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you want a nickel and dime and deflect about little things like me complaining about a battery, fine. I am concerned about the health of this community, and there is something terribly wrong. I don't want to argue about it any further. We need to sit down as a group, make this work so that the community is not faced with a tax increase.
Thank you, Councilman.
Look at all those hands out there.
All right,
Let's
let's move
hear
on
it.
tonight.
This is not a football
No,
game.
no, no,
Ms.
no,
Hudak.
no,
Ms.
no.
Hudak, this is not a
Ms.
football
Hudak,
game.
I chair the meetings
No.
by law, and we're gonna move on.
Just-
Item 13.
Unfortunately, your hand is
Ratify,
not going
pardon
to
me,
be able to
Ms.
comment.
Hudak, let's dial down
No,
hysteria.
we're not-
Thank you.
third time.
Item
You know,
13.
the bottom line is we
Item
have,
13.
we have
Councilwoman
hands
Hudak.
here.
Councilwoman
And
Hudak. Let's move on.
this is a
Councilwoman
meeting
Hudak.
at which people want to be heard,
Councilwoman Hudak.
and they're not going to be heard.
Councilwoman Hudak.
Yeah.
Right,
Let's move
I
on.
just want to say a couple of things about this, too.
Go ahead, Councilman.
All right, not to make any excuses or anything, but when Liz and I came on the board in January, this is a part-time position. We rely on the town supervisor. But there was many issues facing the town this year. When we walked in here, Liz and I were up in Albany, and the big issue was the garbage, you know, switching the vendors, and there was issues with the double garbage dumpsters and the condos. It was a very stressful week. We also were dealing with the Brewster Honda, which has been going on for years, that Liz and I had to finally make a vote on. We also had the people who been following the meetings, the Vallejos family that had some dogs and were running a kennel in a residential area. That was also going on. And the landfill was also a big issue. So we were very involved since January with many issues. And in the January meeting, or February meeting, I believe, you know, Michael said that the town is in sound fiscal shape at his State of the Town meeting, and we depended on that. Unfortunately, we made a mistake. We will have to stay on the books more often. I concur with Liz. I think we're going to have to need monthly reports from now on going forward. That's very important. But anyway, and one of the things I did do this week, and if we could just come to a consensus, I think one way we can save money immediately is if we decide to cancel our cleaning contract with that, I believe it's IMS, a company that does the cleaning of all the buildings. That will save us approximately $14,000. I spoke to Levon. He thinks his staff can pick up the slack So I would like to suggest that right now that we do that.
Then I would also like to suggest, if you're suggesting cutting back something, that you reread my email to you regarding the town attorney's billing practices and make some cuts in that. Mr. Cullen,
And I'd
thank you.
just like to say that I found, thank God, the email directed to, as long as nothing's confidential anymore, to Michael Wright's town supervisor from the chief examiner for New York State. Dear Supervisor Wrights, this is to inform you that the Office of the State Comptroller will contact your office to schedule an exit conference at a mutually convenient time to discuss the attached preliminary draft findings of our recent examination of the town of Southeast. The purpose of this discussion will be to help ensure that the facts on which we have relied in preparing these findings are accurate and complete. Because these findings are still subject to change, we ask that, to the maximum extent permitted by law, the information contained in this document be kept confidential until we formally release the report of examination from our central office. We also ask that by October 18th, 2010, an appropriate official of the town of Southeast send to our Newburgh Regional Office at 33 Airport Center Drive, Suite 103, New Windsor, New York, 12553, a letter responding to our preliminary draft findings. If there are matters included in the preliminary draft findings that may be of concern to you, please feel free to contact me. Please do not respond to this email address. Sincerely, Christopher J. Ellis, Chief Examiner. So that's what was sent. So maybe we all read this incorrectly, but what I will say to you is I was honoring what was contained in that document, and I'm certain that the individual who sent that, who's going to be, or one of the individuals, will be very interested in knowing that the confidentiality that was requested was not honored. So, but you know, that's how we run this town here. What we do is, when it's convenient, we don't follow the law or the requests. When we need not to, we don't. And you know something? That's not how you run a town. Because if you're not going to honor a state comptroller's request, you're not going to honor a lot of other requests. So you know that's the way I kind of look at it. I mean, you know, at the end of the day,
I know you'd rather cover it up. Go ahead.
what cover what up?
If you want to
Cover up
bury
this
the report, go
from
right
the
ahead,
Office of
Mr.
the State
Hudak.
I'm not
Comptroller.
gonna- I'm
wanna
not
bury
gonna-
the report.
I'm
Speaks for
honoring-
itself.
I'm honoring
Go ahead.
I'm honoring what I just read you a letter.
Right,
I
you
don't
did,
know what to
right.
tell
And if
you.
you want to bury the report, then
No,
fine.
I
I'm
think
not
we just
burying
feel
any
comfortable
report.
talking about it in October,
Yeah.
when it's a public document.
Okay,
And then
fine.
it's a foreable public document that
Fine,
anyone
you can bury the
get.
report then.
Well, you know something.
And I won't allow it to happen.
That's
You know-
People are going to
And you
know.
know something, everyone? When the report is complete,
It won't
everyone
change.
can be invited. And you know something? The leader of this board, I think, is going to have to answer to everyone out there as to why all of this happened too.
We'd love
And
to.
don't do your ABCs.
We'd love to. We did tonight.
Yeah, don't do your ABCs.
We'll love to report it
Councilman
again.
Cullen earlier stated, and you made a point too, rely on the town supervisor. As I mentioned, in January 2010, I introduced a proposal, Dwight and I introduced a proposal to put out these services for public bidding or for RFPs, requests for proposals, like other communities do. And that proposal was defeated 3-2. The State Comptroller's Office was here this summer to examine the court system, and while we had boots on the ground, and I walked them through the financial practices of the majority, which are irresponsible and wasteful, and which involve millions of public dollars. They were horrified, as I am horrified. And this report from the Office of the State Comptroller followed. So I have no doubt that a spokesperson for the old guard, such as Councilwoman Hudak, would prefer to bury this report and cover it up. No question, no question.
I don't know.
But these are your tax dollars.
Yeah.
These dollars don't belong to the town board. We're stewards. These dollars belong to you, and you have a right to know.
I just wanted to ask, I know Councilmember Yee had read an email, and I unfortunately, I don't know if this was the one, but due to the severity of the town budget, looming
Is this
fiscal
the
crisis.
ABC part again, accuse, blame, and
And
complain?
then actually, at the end of the email, and this is from Councilmember Yee's email, furthermore, in the chief examiner's letter, he suggested that the report be kept confidential, so I strongly recommend that this report will not be leaked. He